I got an email from that website called LinkedIn, and for those of you who probably you know what this website is. To those of you that don't know what this website is, oh, you're missing out on a lot of fun. No, um, you're, you're missing out on a lot of fun. No, it's kind of like a professional website for, like, if to advertise your services. Yeah, and uh, and she she. What are you looking at, Dave? Come here talking like that, and you said she. She. No. Uh, Something funny happened to me. I really think it's funny. Some people probably don't think it's funny, but I really find it hilarious. Um, I got for those of you who, let me first just finish this part. LinkedIn is kind of a place where, like, if you're a professional or you do certain things, like maybe you're a teacher, maybe you have a company, maybe you're a singer, maybe you are an actor or whatever. You want to advertise your services because sometimes employers go to LinkedIn to look for people to hire for jobs, whether it's an exhibition or a seminar or whatever. So I joined that because I do give seminars and I do teach online and I have this radio show. So I do things like that. Plus, I sell my books as well. I am an author, and so I'm on there. Yeah, and here uh, I don't. Um, really have that many connections, tell you the truth, on LinkedIn, yeah, because my work is a little bit, it's not really normal. What I do is not really normal. So I don't have that many connections. See, when you're on this LinkedIn, what you do is, like, you can network with people. And so it's kind of like Facebook in a way, because you have a friend list, but they call it connections. And so when you look at somebody's profile, you can see who they are connected to. Okay? So when somebody comes looking on your site, they could see all the people you're connected to. Okay? So sometimes it's good to be connected to others because, let's say, for example, somebody's looking for or whatever, and they find one of your connections profiles first. Let me make up a scenario here. Let's say you have somebody who is looking for seminars on clinical psychology or something like that, okay? So let's say they're looking for that and they find a list because there's a search engine just like on Facebook, and you just type what you're looking for. Uh, and let's say they're looking for something psychology of um, music or something like that. Okay, so let's say they type in music psychology, and all this list of people show up, and they find somebody, and let's say it's somebody you're connected to. Your name doesn't show on the results because let's say you are a seminar presenter on um, Buddhism or whatever. Okay, so your name doesn't show on this clinical psychology result list. So then let's say this person sees your connection. Okay, and so they're looking at your connections profile, and they go, "Oh, that's pretty cool." And then they look at your connections, people, yeah, the people that they are connected to, and then that person sees you and says, "Oh, wow, this other person is does things on Buddhism. That's interesting." So they go click on your profile and read your what you do, and then they say, "Oh, hey, I think I want to do this instead." So then they contact you. That's called networking. For those of you that didn't know, that's networking. It's online networking, and that's what this LinkedIn does. Okay, but because of my what I do is so many different things that I do because that's who I am. Hey. No, um, I don't have too many connections because I don't have similar. I can't find similar kind of people. Yeah, and uh, and here, for this reason, I don't get too many requests because when you're on this LinkedIn, if somebody wants to connect to you, they have to send you a request, and then you get an email notice, and it says, Bob. Uh, let's make up a last name. Bob Genghis Khan wants to connect to you. Um, do you accept or reject? Yeah. So you go to your profile and then you look at their profile and see, is this somebody you want on your connection list? Yeah, because sometimes there's some goofy people out there that it's better to not be associated with them. Yeah, so if you don't know who they are, then you could just reject it. Some people are they just accept anybody, but me, I have a little bit class. Yeah, so just a little bit. So I choose wisely who I'm going to be connected to. As a result, my connection list is not very long, and I don't get that many requests from others to connect to me. Okay, so I got this request, and it was like uh, this person is a PhD candidate for some kind of psychology. And see, it's a good idea to put your photo on the what do you call it, your profile, because some people don't, and I think if you don't do that, how do you expect people to what do you call it? How do you expect people to connect to you? Because they don't know what you look like. They don't know um, if you don't even have your company's logo on there, yeah, um, then how are you supposed to do you know what I mean? Uh, so because usually when it's like Facebook, when you see a profile and there's no photo there, you just go on by, you just pass it by. So that's why I said it's really uh, important to have at least your photo, yeah, so people know what the hey you're doing, and to know what you look like. Like for me, I have my the same photo I use for Facebook, the same photo I use for Blog Talk, the same photo I use for my website because it's professional, yeah. Um, and I want consistency. So when you see that photo, you go, "Oh, I saw this someplace. I remember this. I remember this picture." See, there's some consistency, so it leads them to other areas, and they end up finding you. Yeah, so it's good to use the same photo all the time. It's just common business practice. It's like let's say McDonald's. the fast food company. Let's say they have four different logos. How do you know which one is really McDonald's? See, they have only one symbol, and in business, that's the best thing to do is you find a really really good photo, and you stay with it. Yeah, you just stay with it. So that's why I've been using the same photo. Plus, I still look the same. My hair is still the same way. So I use the same photo for everything. Yeah. So that's how mine is. Anyway, this request came in, and I'm not going to say the name for respect or reasons of respect, and I'll say her first name. Her first name is Nadia, and as it showed her profile, and it has her picture. So I was looking at her picture, and I was like, I have no idea who that is, but something is familiar. That was my first reaction. So I read the profile. It says PhD candidate in neuroscience, London, England. Yeah, and it lists her education, her previous education, and her current education. And I was like, oh, who is this? At first, I thought because sometimes there's people who just click anybody. Yeah, they when they add connections to their profile, they just click anybody. Just like people who have 5,000 friends on Facebook. There's people who do that on what do you call it, on this LinkedIn as well. And LinkedIn it's there's several versions of it. There's a version where you can pay for it, so there's more things you can post, and then there's the free version. Yeah, so that's the one I have because I don't have too many things. I'm a simple man. Shucks. And so I was looking at this lady's photo and I was thinking, shit, where do I know her from? And I just couldn't place it, yeah? And so I just thought, I don't know, but there's something really familiar about her. But I, I in London, I only know one person, yeah? And that person is a redhead. And even if she dyed her hair black, she looks different. Yeah, she doesn't have the same face. So I was thinking, damn, who is this person? And I know other people in England, but they don't look like her. And so I was like, well, I don't know who this is. So I just let it go, and I was like, I don't know if I should accept this or not because I don't know who this is. But this is a really professional person, PhD candidate in neuroscience, London, England. There's a But this one university is in Germany. Yeah, in her when I looked at her background education, I was thinking, but I still don't know. Yeah, so I went ahead and clicked it because it's a very professional, yeah, very professional person. So I went ahead and accepted because it's classy. Yeah, I looked down her profile and see all these things, and I was like, wow, PhD student, mechatronics engineer, International Graduate School of Neuroscience, and then there's these two three four. It tells where she went to high school. That's all in Germany, and all these other things, and I thought, I still cannot place her. I just don't know. So I thought, well, I'll accept it anyway because it's very professional looking. So I went about my evening. Yeah, I watch. Sometimes I watch TV. I have late meals. I watch TV, and then I come back on the computer, and because I work during the night on my computer with my business, and sometimes I even teach in the middle of the night because you know like people in Australia, it's their evening. Yeah, so sometimes I'm teaching people from over there, and the evening the next day, I mean, or afternoon the next day. So um, for people in Australia, I mean, and sometimes in America, it's if it's just starting to be early evening. Yeah. So anyway, so I was watching TV and I was I was eating. I can't remember what I was eating. I think it was something tofu something. Hey. No, I don't eat that. No way. Anyway, um, so I was eating stuff and then I put my dishes up and I was watching some episodes of The Walking Dead, yeah, because season 6 is on Netflix now. So I was watching that, and I can't remember what scene it was and what episode it was, but suddenly I thought, ah, the town where where she got her bachelor's degree, that town. I know that town. Hang on. So I got up and turned my computer on, and then I was looking at their education in high school. Yeah, high school, and I was like, Aachen. I I think I know. And I looked at her face again. Oh, okay, I know who this. Really, it was like dominoes in slow motion. Yeah. So I looked at her photo and I was like, no way. She looks really different. So I I have an old photo of her when I used to know this girl. So I was looking for that and I found it and I compared the two and I was like, oh, that's who that is. See, I forgot her last name. Yeah, I forgot her last name, but I remembered, oh yes, I do know a Nadia, and her high school, yeah, her high school is in Aachen, it's in West Germany, and former West Germany, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember. Um, she's one of my students, but she had to stop for a while because she had to do something. She had to get her university studies completed first, and she wanted to do Lakota after she's done, so she can be more relaxed. Yeah, and so I said that's no problem, and so she went about, doing her studies, and this girl is a girlfriend of a drummer of a very famous heavy metal band in Germany. And so it was. I was like, "Oh, this is Nadia. Ah, yes, 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 yes. Now I remember. 'Cause we were in real good contact. Yeah, she used to send me what do you call it? Invitations for wherever her boyfriend's band was performing. She would say, go to this certain location, and she said, I'll leave you a backstage pass. She said, and just tell security that you're there, and then they will come and get me, and then I will come to get you. She said. So I said, cool, yeah, and but the problem was the concerts were mostly on the west, and that's quite a drive, yeah. And the person that I was living with at that time, she didn't like this kind of music. Yeah, she didn't want to drive that distance for that. So I was like, okay. So I told her that I wasn't able to do that because the woman I was living with didn't want to go that direction, and I at that time I couldn't drive on the autobahn, and so I said, well, if you ever come to Berlin, I said, let me know. And she said, yeah, we go there at least once a year. She said. So I said, okay. So no hard feelings, yeah. So, but we were email contact almost every day, and she's really a funny, yeah. She's really a funny girl, and and here the time came, yeah, that they were gonna be in Berlin, and so she said when I get there, I'll send you SMS because we had each other's cell phone numbers, and she said I'll send you SMS and then uh, if you're able to let me know, she said, and then I'll send a car for you. So I said, oh, cool. So I said, okay, I'm ready for it. I said. So she said, cool. So she said, we're on our way. She said. So and then about about 2 hours later, see where she lives is about 6 hours away from where I live. Okay, and about 2 hours later, she got an SMS, and I got an SMS. I mean, from her, and she said that she had to turn around because she got sick. She got a stomach flu on the way, on the autobahn. So her boyfriend turned around and took her back home, and then he came to Berlin. So I was like, oh, this is too bad. So we missed our chance. Yeah? Two canoes passing in the dark. Somebody, somebody was canoeing backwards. Yeah. So when that person went by, the other one said, "Gee, I wonder who that is." Sometimes life is like that. Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was funny because she looks different. Yeah, she has a different hair. She's she looks really professional. See, the photos I have of her are all from concert festivals in Europe, yeah, in Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Germany, and France, and places like that, and heavy metal festivals. And so she's all heavy metal clothes, yeah, and looks really wild. And in this photo, doesn't she doesn't even look wild at all. So that's why I couldn't make the connection. But I find it really interesting. This is how the brain works. Yeah, the brain is such a wonderful part of us. That um, that it's amazing. It's the brain that creates your personality. Your personality is not your soul. Okay, and I think a lot of people misunderstand that because like a lot of times you hear people say stories like, "Oh, I saw the ghost of my dead uncle, and he said that he has a treasure, and he buried it in South Dakota." Yeah, and the thing is, see, the voice has to have a voice box, and that's something physical. Yeah. So in the Lakota belief system, the soul cannot talk. It doesn't have a voice. It needs a human body to speak through. Yeah. So a soul itself cannot talk. Okay. And it has no personality because the personality is created by the brain, and the when the person is dead, the brain dies, and so does the personality. See what I mean? I'll give you. Let me tell you a short story. This is a true story. Um, the back on the res, and I know there's a movie like this too. Okay, some of you probably know it's a Harrison Ford movie. On the res, where I come from, Cheyenne River Sioux Reservation, there was a guy who is he's about 2 or 3 years older than me. He's a really macho, yeah. He's a tall. He was a tall guy, and he's really good in sports, because football, basketball, everything. And he's always different girlfriend all the time, and car, yeah, fast sports car, kind of typical macho teenager. As jock, yeah, typical jock. For those of you in Europe, a jock is a guy who is really good in athletics, and he's macho. It's what I described. Yeah, that's a jock. A lot of times they're narcissistic too. They're narcissists. Okay, now, this is how this guy was. He's very, very narcissistic. One time he was drag racing and racing another guy on the highway outside of Eagle Butte. This is where he went to school. It's Eagle Butte, Shine Eagle Butte High School, and the car wrecked, and he got hurt pretty bad. He didn't wear a seatbelt, so got thrown out of the car, and his head hit something really hard. Luckily, the car didn't land on him, yeah, because if it did, it would have killed him. Um, but he went into a coma for a week or so, and they thought he was going to die, but he made a comeback. His organs were still going strong, and about a week later, he came out of the coma. He didn't know anybody, didn't know his name, didn't know anybody. He didn't recognize his family, and his voice was different. And he was really friendly, yeah. And everybody was freaking out. It was like, geez, almost like a different guy. He's not the same. And he made a recovery. He still has what do you call it, seizures from time to time, but other than that, he's back to normal. He had to learn everything again, and even though he knows who his family is, he had to learn, relearn their names. They had to talk to him, show him photos of what his life was about, but he doesn't remember any of it. He's a total different person. He's really friendly, and he really likes to help people. He's totally the opposite. Before he was a narcissist, the world revolved around him. Now he's a totally selfless guy. Before he was selfish, now he's selfless. So he would go to the stores in Eagle Butte, and he would open the door for people. It's like a greeter. Hey, how are you doing? This was before Walmart even existed, because for those of you who know Walmart, they have these old people standing in front of. They work for Walmart. Yeah, they are working for Walmart. They stand at the entrance of the doors and they greet you as you come in. Hey, how are you doing? Good day. Carts are over there. Like that. Yeah? they're called Walmart greeters. Shit, this guy was doing this before Walmart even existed. He did this because he just felt like talking to people. And when people were having a hard time carrying their food out, he would carry it for them. He would take it to their car and he would say, "You have a nice day, ma'am." He would say, yeah, really humble voice, very calm, and it got to the point where you just looked forward to going to that store because you wanted to see him. Yeah, he was just naturally attracting people with his good nature. Yeah, he was really a cool guy. Yeah, he's just humble. He's like a teddy bear. And this shows you, yeah. See, like I said, his head got banged up really bad. He really took a hard hit wherever he landed from that car wreck. His head hit something really hard, and he went into a coma. And while he was in a coma, his brain was injured, and the doctors thought he might, you know, become brain dead, but there was activity. And so they watched it when he came out of the coma. What happened was his brain rewired itself. And as a result of this rewiring, the old personality died and a new personality was created. See? That shows you. This is how powerful the brain is. It can rewire itself under certain circumstances. And sometimes people experience incredibly traumatic things in their lives, especially as children. And the brain wants to protect the boy or girl. So it does something to block the memory so that the child will continue. So now comes the question: is it safe to unlock that memory? Because the brain shut it down for some reason. Yeah? And there are some people who believe that the brain is trying to protect the person because if the person remembers it, they might experience something more traumatic, and it could lead to a mental illness or an emotional illness. So because the brain shut it down, the brain closed that memory, that might actually be safer. Yeah, because if you don't remember it, you have nothing to come to peace with it. There's no reason to come to peace with it because it doesn't exist. You see what I mean? That's an argument that is really a strong argument. So when you look at these psychological treatments, and people say that, oh, this is bothering you, so you need to I need to hypnotize you and find the problem. There's a danger in that. That might not be a good thing to do because it might cause further problems because the brain is very complex. Here's another example. What I'm going to tell you, this happened in when was it? 1980s. I think it was either the late 1970s or 1980s. But there was a lady. She was I don't know, in her 20s, and was going to a therapist because she was having a problem with something in her life and she just couldn't understand it. So she went to go see a therapist, a female therapist. I need to say this because this is going to play a role in what happens next. Okay, so it is important. Um, the 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 female therapist, she said, "I'm going to put you under hypnosis, and we will try to find maybe there's something that happened in your childhood. That's why you're having this trauma." And so the woman agreed to it. The patient agreed to it. So this therapist put this woman under hypnosis, and uh, and so she was, she took her back to her childhood, and then the therapist said, "Was there a time when your father touched you, he touched your vagina? That's not the way you talk to somebody under hypnosis." See, what she just did there, what the therapist just did was unethical. What she did was she suggested an incident. And you can't do that in hypnosis because See, when a person is under hypnosis, they're really open to suggestion. So if you suggest something to somebody who's under hypnosis, they their brain will create a memory based on that suggestion, which means it's a false memory because it never happened. It never happened. So um, then the therapist continued like that. Yeah, and so when the therapist brought this patient out of hypnosis, um, the therapist told the girl, I mean the woman, what she said, and the woman was shocked. She she said under hypnosis that her father had molested her all all her young years, from the time she was a baby to when she was about 6 years old. She said her father molested her all that time. So the therapist called the authorities immediately. They arrested the father under suspicion, child molestation, and the girl, the woman, I should say, was going to take her father to court for for molesting her, based on this these memories that were allegedly recalled under hypnosis. So this girl was saying that the trauma was so great that her brain shut it down. And that is possible, okay, like I said in my first story. Okay? But the problem is that this never happened. The father said he never did this. He said, I'll go under hypnosis. Yeah? Me under hypnosis. And see what I see. With a different therapist, he said. This really made the news. Yeah? So now the courts have to decide, were these memories real? So now they started to did they how did they do this? They found I think I'm not too sure on this, okay, but I think they found the father guilty of molesting his daughter, but in the appeal he took the therapist to court. He wanted to bring other therapists in to examine what did this lady therapist do, and that's where they found the problem. That's where the other therapists were saying what this lady therapist did was unethical. She put suggestion. She used the power of suggestion, and as a result, the lady patient's brain created false memories. So this never happened. Yeah, this never happened. So then the therapists were starting to say that what they think is that the lady therapist was projecting her own life experience onto her patient. I think that's called transference. I'm not too sure on that term, okay? Maybe it's a different term, but to me it sounds like transference. It's a psychological thing that the lady therapist was putting her own life experience into her patient. So the person who was molested was not the patient, but the therapist herself when she was a little girl. So they examined the therapist and her lifestyle and everything, and it turns out this therapist is a very militant feminist who hates men. See, this is why I said lady therapist. This does her gender played a role. So the jury looked at the evidence and the new evidence and they realized that yeah, this therapist was unethical. So with beyond the reason of doubt, they convicted the therapist and set the man free and wiped that charge off of his police record. But the damage was already done. People in the community where this man lives with his wife, they even though he was set free and proven to be innocent, his reputation was tarnished. People wouldn't talk to him. He lost his job, and wherever he went, you know, that news story followed him. He had to change his name. They had to change their identities, and to this day, the girl still believes her father molested her. Do you see the power of the brain here? The false memories are just as real as the real memories. I should say the false memories feel just as real as the real memories, even though they never happened. That's how powerful the brain is. This girl still believes her father's guilty. The therapist lost her license. Yes, she got barred from practicing hypnosis and also therapy because of her unethical practices. But see, every state has its own licensing. So she just moved to another state, so she still does her shit. See what I mean? How dangerous it is when you mess with the brain and you think you know what you're doing, but you could actually cause major, major damage. This therapist destroyed a family because her father destroyed her. She felt it was justified to destroy the life of a man. And she really hates men. So this father and daughter, I think the parents are dead now because this happened in the 70s. I think the parents are they're dead now. But you know, the girl is to this day she still believes her father raped her, molested her. It's a false memory. The therapist put it there, and the patient, her brain created the memory from that suggestion, and now it's there. It's stuck. So she feels it happened, even though it never did. This is how powerful the brain is. So it's when you know sometimes when you know sometimes you know you see movies and it really affects you. Yeah, maybe you see a movie that's really emotional and traumatic, like The Exorcist. Yeah, and and let's and let's say you see that movie when you were 13 years old or something, and and then you know you have a what do you call it? Uh, let's say you it's just, you know that one scene where she walks on her hands and runs down the hallway. Jesus Christ, that's freaky. It's scarier than shit. I hate that scene. Shit, I hate that scene. In the beginning they only showed that in the theater, yeah, and when video cassettes came out in the 80s, they took that scene out when they when and I think it was when DVDs were made, they decided to put it back in, yeah. And, oh, it's just horrible, scared the shit out of you. But now you look at furniture, you never look at furniture the same anymore. when when you eat something bad and you end up throwing up, you're hoping you, you you don't get possessed or something like that, and and it leaves an impression on you, yeah. And it's so when you're walking down a dark hallway, you have to, first thing you think of, things like that. It shows you how these images can really stay in your brain for a long, 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 long time. Another thing too is like, for example, this happens to old people a lot, and maybe some goofy young people, where like they'll say, "Oh yeah, I remember, um, that happened to me too. I used to live in down in Florida, and there was this little boy who had a pet bear, and and they would fight alligators. I remember that." All that time, that's a TV show, yeah. for for those of you who are old enough to remember Gentle Ben, yeah, it's a really old TV show with Ron Howard's brother. What was his name? Clint Howard, his younger brother. He was a little boy, and his pet black bear, I think it was, and I remember I was a little boy, and I lived in Florida, and I had this pet bear. And all that time, that's a TV show. Some people, they're when their brains are kind of they're a little bit loose, you could say. And so what they saw on TV as a little child, they mix that up with their memories, and they think that to them, but it really didn't. It's not a false memory. It is a memory because of age or whatever, or they're just goofy people. Um, it gets mixed up with their real memories, yeah, with their life memories of their life, and so they think it happened to them, and it was the TV show, yeah. So it's some people are that way, yeah. That it shows you that they get confused, yeah, with reality. Um, I have I had a cousin. Um, he's a couple of years older than me. He passed on a couple of years ago due to I don't know what he died of because he never talked to me. So, but when we were in our 20s, he would say, "Yeah, Dave, I remember when you always used to say, 'That's the scoop, man.'" Yeah, and he thought that was always funny. And I'm saying, "Shit, I never said that." I asked my childhood best friend. I said, "Did I ever say that's the scoop, man?" And and he would laugh, and he said, "No, this shit, you never said that. I said, it sounds funny, but you never said that." My mom, she also said I never said that. I talked to other people, and they never heard me say that before. But my cousin was absolutely 100% sure that I said that all the time. That's the scoop, man. And I never said that. Doesn't even sound cool, yeah? What kind of thing is that to say? That's the scoop, man. You see what I mean? I never said anything like that. But he was absolutely certain that I had said that. See, this is what happens too when you take drugs. My cousin was taking a lot of acid back then, LSD. Fucked with his head. Yeah, that and marijuana. He smoked marijuana a lot, and so maybe one time he was high, and maybe he was visiting me, and he thought I said that. So in his brain, he creates this memory of me saying that phrase, even though I never said that. Yeah, this same cousin. Um, we were, I think, yeah, maybe 16. No, I think I was 17 years old, and he was about 19. And I don't remember, but we were at this house, and he said, "Hey, I got some weed from Colombia." He said, in those days they called it Lumbo Gold. Yeah, that was the res name. I don't know if that's what they called it in the other parts of America. I don't know, but that's what I heard on the res. I got some Lumbo Gold. That's what they would call it. It was really good marijuana from Colombia. So, because he had a cousin in Denver who was some drug dealer, yeah, that's where he would get his marijuana. And he said, "You want to try it out?" So I thought, "I'll try. Yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah." And so I said, "Okay." So we went and smoked the joint. And in those days, in the res, there was only one TV channel. Okay, one TV channel. And Saturdays at 6 o'clock in the evening was this show, a polka music on TV. Yeah. And we were going to go downtown just to take a walk after smoking this joint, and we were putting on our shoes, and this song was coming on the TV, the polka, yeah. And the song, the clarinet was playing something like, uh, do, 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 do. No, typical polka melody, yeah. And in my mind, I heard my cousin humming to this melody. I heard him going. I started to laugh and I said, "Shit, how do you know that song?" He looked up. He said, what are you talking about?" I said, "I hear you humming that song." He said, he said, "Shit, not even. It's a polka song." Yeah, I said, oh shit, I really went into the gigglies after that, because when those of you that have gotten high before, eh, for those of you that get the funnies, yeah, that get the you laugh all the time, and I just couldn't stop laughing, and I said, "I swear I heard your voice." I said, "You were humming that song." I said, "Shit, I thought you was gonna start singing it pretty soon." So I was like, "How in the hell do you know that song?" I didn't know you listened to polka. So I was gonna say, it's like, shit, not even, is it? Oh my gosh. And I know that's a funny illegal memory, but it shows you the brain power. Yeah, that when something happens to you physically or whatever, that your brain can send uh, messages to your ears, to your eyes, and then you see things and hear things and maybe even feel things and taste things that are not even there. That shows you the power of the brain. When I was in university, I was friends with these two girls named Rosie and Susie. Typical American names, yeah. Rosie and Susie. They're Lakota girls, yeah. One was from Standing Rock, another one was from Laura Brew, and they were roommates. So we would be in their room and smoking up, toking up, as they say. Then we would wait for maybe I don't know half hour or so. Then we head to the cafeteria and you're coming down there all smiles and hey man and you're getting our trays of food and shit with like ten glasses of mellow yellow and Jesus, I must have went back for fourths. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Holy man, that thing really gives you the munchies, and every little thing tastes good. Yeah. Oh, this Salisbury steak is the best. Oh, the best ever, ever. I'm crying. It tastes so good. Oh shit! They look at each other and start laughing. Some students figured it out, and they walk by and say, "Hey man, give us some, man." Oh shit! Damn, it was a good time. Yeah, that's what university's for. Yeah. Before you become a responsible adult, you go to university. Oh my gosh! But do you see what I mean? It exaggerates things sometimes, and the food tastes. It might just be a simple potato chip, yeah, but but under the influence, it tastes like just the best, yeah, the absolute gourmet, yeah, potato chip de jour, Oh, this is awful. Oh my gosh. This is crazy. But do you see what I mean? The brain really is powerful. So when you do something to it, it can do things that or it could cause you to feel things that really are false. Yeah? And or like in this story here, the food tasted way better than it really did. Yeah, it was okay food. It's dorm food. What can you expect? Yeah, but under the influence, it felt like we were eating, the best cuisine in the world because our brains were doing this because we smoked some marijuana. You see what I mean? So this is a dangerous thing when you think about it. And one of my cousins, he's dead now too. Geez, everybody I know is dead because they still continued this lifestyle. I stopped when I was in my early 20s. Yeah, I just stopped. Said no more for me. I don't want to do that anymore. And but the other people that I know, they kept on doing that, and they ended up they're either dead from alcohol or they died in a car accident or to cirrhosis or they went to prison because they they drove over somebody because they were stoned or drunk or whatever. Yeah. I feel sorry for them. I really do because I wish they would have stopped too, but they didn't. But one of my cousins, he died from cirrhosis of the liver. But when we were teenagers, this guy, he smoked some marijuana and he was watching Godzilla. And his and his little nephew was at the house, and the nephew was sitting in front of the TV. And the living room lights were turned off. Yeah, just the TV was on, and the little boy was, he must have been about 4 years old. He was sitting in front of the TV watching Godzilla too, and my cousin, his name was Lou, he was sitting on the sofa. And this boy, this boy stood up, started walking towards Lou. Lou, start, Lou started to freak out. Hey, shit, Godzilla's coming. Oh shit! The rest of us are freaking out. Lou is just Lou is screaming and ah. So so we said, let's get out of here. We knew he was freaking out. Yeah. So we thought we'd have some fun. So let's get out of here. He's coming. So he jumped out of his sofa, ran out of the house screaming. Oh shit, we had a laugh. And then we thought, shit, let's go find him. And maybe he's probably freaking out someplace. Here we found him two houses down. he 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 was hiding under the porch, yeah, of this house. Shh, guys, come here, come here, come here. Is he here? So we just played along, yeah, to try to calm him down. He said, no, he went the other way. Are you sure? Yeah, we can hear him over there. Ah, he said. Oh man, that was so funny. But see, that's the other thing. It makes people paranoid. Some people, they get this paranoid feeling. This shows you again the power of the brain. This is what hallucinogens do. Yeah, and if you do this a long, long time, the hallucinations that you see, you start to interpret them as memories, and that's also false. Yeah, in the 1800s, and there was a Paiute man who was learning ways of the Mormon Church, and through that, he wanted to, that influenced him, and he realized he wants to be an Indian Jesus Christ. He wants to be the Indian Messiah. He's a narcissist. Okay, this shows you that Native Americans, we have mental problems too. Even before white people came, we had mental problems because we had ceremonies to fix mental problems. Okay, so this guy was a narcissist and he wanted to be the Indian Jesus. So he started to create his own belief system, and just smart, yeah. You have to be smart to do that. So he did this, and then he wanted to get people, to be, to follow him. And so what he did was, see, this guy could read, yeah, because he read these books that the Mormons use for their religion. So that's how he learned these things. And so he used, the fact that he could read and most of the Indians could not read. He used that against his own people. The fact that he could read, that gave him an edge over other Indians because most Indians didn't read yet. They didn't know how to write. But he did. Yeah? So he saw in the newspaper that there was going to be a what do you call that? Solar eclipse when the moon goes in front of the sun. Is that a solar eclipse? Was supposed to happen on a certain day and around a certain time. And so he told his people, that the Creator chose him to lead the people. That the Creator was going to give him a ceremony to make all the white people go away, and all the Indians who were killed by white people were going to come back to life. That all the towns were going to be swallowed into the earth, and everything is going to be the way it was before white people came. You can already tell this is a racist religion. Yeah, but see, at that time, it's very difficult. Yeah, very difficult for Indians. But they still thought he was kind of crazy for saying that. How's that supposed to happen? All the white people just gonna disappear? How's that supposed to happen? So they thought he was. So he said, "I'm going to give you a sign." He said, "Tomorrow, I'm going to make the sun disappear. Then you know the Creator chose me." So they thought, he's crazy. So the next day, he stood in front of the people and he says, "Because you don't believe me, the Creator is angry." They start to laugh at him. "Now I'm going to make the sun disappear." So he put his hands up in the air, and just at that, around maybe a few minutes later, as people are laughing at him because he looks goofy, the moon goes in front of the sun, and they see that the sunlight is dying, and they start to think, "Oh shit, this guy is powerful. He can cause the moon, he can cause the sun to do this." See, they didn't know this was an eclipse. So they started to bow in front of him, and they said, we're sorry. Please bring back the sun." So he waited for a few minutes. I think it usually lasts about 7 minutes. He waited a few minutes, and he said, "The Creator has accepted your apology." And then the sun started to come out again. See, it's just an eclipse. That's all it is. But those people didn't know. But he did. So he used this against his own people. And that's how they started to believe his false religion. And he said he's going to bless some water, and if people drink it, they can see their ancestors. So what he was doing when he was blessing the water was he was really putting peyote in it. This is a drug. This is a hallucinogen. Yeah, he was putting peyote in the water, making it into a tea, but they didn't know it. Okay, they didn't know it because it's kind of clear. And he put it in a dark container so they couldn't see its color. So they thought they were drinking water, but they were actually drinking peyote tea. New Agers, they say peyote. Indians just say peyote. Yeah. And so now when you take peyote, it's like similar to hypnotism in that you're open for suggestion. So then what you do is you start this you meet in a teepee, okay? This is the way they did it long time ago. They met in a teepee, and then I won't give you everything. I'm just going to give you the important parts, okay? Because I don't want to make this a discussion on peyote. I want you to understand how this works, okay? What they did is what Wovoka. This guy's name is Wovoka, by the way. He's a Paiute Indian. Jack Wilson was his name, but he called himself Wovoka, okay? And so what he would do is they would sing these songs, and then they would sing them faster and faster and faster and faster to go into a frenzy. Yeah. And then when they would pray, they would start normal talking. Like they might say, let's see if the Lord's Prayer. How does that go? Our our Father. Let me try to say this and pretend I'm under the influence, okay, of peyote. You start slow, and then you work it faster and faster and faster. Now maybe I don't really know this prayer, so let me get this on the Google, okay? And so I can give you a better example here. Okay, Lord's Prayer. All righties. Okay. All right. So let's say I'm going to do this. Okay. So let's say I'm under the influence of peyote, and now I'm going to do this. So then they start something like this. Our Father in oh, this is not right. This is I need the King James version. I'm familiar with the King James version, not the new one. Okay. All right. Here's the King James version. Okay. So this is the way these people do this. Okay. They say it like this: Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. See, that's how they pray. They go fast and fast and fast and fast and fast, and the faster they get, their voice goes higher. Okay, and they this is to put the drug into effect. So the more quicker you say this, and the more emotional you become, you work up your emotions, and what this is doing is it's helping the drug to start to take effect. No, the priest, or in the peyote religion, it's called traveling man. Okay, and Wovoka, see, he knows these things. He's a very smart guy, so he knows these things. So he's doing the same thing, and so what he does is when the drug is really taking effect, then he starts to say things like that lady therapist I told you before, that he starts to use the power of suggestion. And then he will say, um, look into this hat. Look, you see clouds. See the clouds. There's a rainbow going through the clouds. Look under the rainbow. There are 6 teepees there. Look, inside each teepee, there are 6 grandfathers. Look, there's your father, or there's your grandfather, and his father, and his father, and his father. Look, they all look the same. They all are the same age. And so you look and you see whatever he says, that's what you see, because he's using the power of suggestion while you are under the influence of this drug, peyote. And what he's saying, he took from the Mormon church. Because the Mormon people, they believe that after the second coming of Christ, there's going to be 2,000 years of peace on this earth. And during that time period, that anybody, if you're alive, during that time period, you're going to live to be so that your body looks like you're 32 years old. So if you're young, yeah, if you're 16, you will continue to grow. You will continue to age until you turn 32, and then your body stops. It stops growing. You stop aging, and you're going to look like that forever. Okay? Now, if you're 64 years old, what happens then is it's like your body grows backwards. So as time goes on, you get younger and younger and younger and younger, and when you reach 32, it stops. So at the end of 2,000 years, everybody that's alive on the earth is going to look like they're 32 years old. And all the people who died before the second coming, okay, all the people who died, they're going to come back out of the grave. And when they come out of the grave, their bodies will be perfect. So, for example, if they were born with no legs, suddenly they're going to have legs. If they lost an arm because of an accident or something, that arm is going to come back, and you'll be in perfect health. If you were fat, you're going to become healthy. If you had a disease, it's going to go away. So at the end of 2,000 years, everybody, even those who came back from the dead, are all going to look like they're 32 years old. So this gives you mothers who lost babies, this gives them a chance to raise them again. Because the baby comes out of the grave, is still a baby, but it's going to grow until it's 32 years old, and everything stops there until everybody looks like they're 32 years old. And then is Judgment Day. This is a Mormon teaching. So do you see the ideas that Wovoka took from that Mormon teaching by saying, look in the teepees, you see your grandfather, and you see his father and his father and his father. They all look the same. They're all young men. See, that's coming from the Mormon teaching. And then he used peyote from the Native American church, which is another false religion. Yeah, the Native American church teaches that their religion existed in the very beginning in both North and South America, that all Indians once belonged to that. That's false, because Lakota Star Knowledge says something different. See, Lakota Star Knowledge says in the beginning there was no North and South America. In the beginning there was one continent. And today what you see as North and South, in the beginning that was East and West. That's what Lakota Star Knowledge says. So that means what the Native American church is teaching is lies. And plus they're using this peyote as it's a hallucinogen. And so when you take it, just like what I said about Wovoka, you're open to the power of suggestion. So the person who's leading the peyote ceremony, he's going to say certain things, and you're going to see it. Because he's using the power of suggestion. And they're using a drug to do this, to manipulate your mind. So when you take peyote, it's just like you're taking LSD or anything else. You're giving your personal power away. And you're going down a road of danger. Yeah, this is why in Lakota way we don't use hallucinogens in our ceremonies. We don't need a drug to force a vision. A true vision should come naturally. Yeah, it should come naturally. So we're not like the South American Indians who use this cocoa plant for, whatever. We're not that way because we don't need that. Now, I'm not saying they're bad, okay? I'm just saying we don't need plants to do that. We can do this without plants. Because when you use these plants like that, you're abusing the plant. You're using the plant to manipulate your brain. This is the dangerous thing. So the Native American church, they're a man-made religion. That religion started in the 1800s too, I think, or maybe early 1800s. I think that really has a bad beginning. Yeah, and it's like a cult. This is a false religion, and they use the Bible. The Bible never was meant to exist. Yeah, the only thing that was supposed to exist are those first 5 books. In Judaism, that's called the Torah, I think. The first 5 books of the Bible are the laws of Moses. That's the only thing that's supposed to exist. Everything after that is not supposed to be there. It's the Catholics who put it there. But Catholicism is a man-made religion. It's the Catholics created the Bible to control the world. That's the bottom line, to control people. Because in the beginning, Catholicism was a government, and it had an army. And it destroyed anybody who did not join them. The Native American church uses the Bible. This shows you that the Native American church has a very unhealthy foundation. It has a weak foundation. It uses the Bible. It uses a drug. It uses the power of suggestion. There is nothing natural about that. Everything they do violates nature, and it violates the self. Because you are nature. You are a part of nature too. And if you take a drug to do things like this, see, you're manipulating yourself. And you're walking a dangerous road. Okay? What I'm saying here is this shows you how powerful the mind is. That if you're not careful, you can really end up in major trouble. And because of Wovoka's actions, this ended with the massacre at Wounded Knee. A lot of Indians like to say, this is America's thing. Yes, America plays a responsibility, but where do you think it started? It started with that religion, the ghost dance religion. That's Wovoka's religion. He said, if you do this dance, all the white people will go away. And all the Indians will come back to life again. And we'll all live to be young. See, this is coming from Mormon ideas. All the white towns will be swallowed into the earth. This is a racist religion. If you want to point the finger at what caused the Wounded Knee Massacre, you also have to include Wovoka, because it's his religion that was the cause of that. And that's a man-made religion. After the Wounded Knee Massacre, Wovoka was suddenly quiet because he knew he was responsible. See, not all Indians are good. So with that, I thank you very much for taking time to tune in and listen to this show. I really, 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 really appreciate it. And all I ask is that you think about it, nothing more. And in our way, we have no word for goodbye, because for us, everything is circular. So it's only about beginnings, starting over, healing, rejuvenation, renewal. There is no end. So that's why we have no word for goodbye in Lakota. So instead we say until next time, which in Lakota is Toksha Ake. So good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, good night, sweet dreams, wherever you are, whenever you're listening to this. Thank you very much. We'll see you again tomorrow. And Toksha Ake.